Jack Miller floated near the window of the International Space Station. The Earth looked peaceful from up here. He had been an astronaut for 5 years, but the views still amazed him every time. "Jack, come look at this," called Olivia Clark from the communications station. Her voice sounded worried. Jack pushed himself across the module and stopped next to Olivia. "What's wrong?" "I'm picking up a signal. It's not one of ours." She pointed to her screen. "It's coming from beyond our solar system." Jack frowned. "Are you sure?" "Positive. NASA confirms they've never seen anything like it." Olivia's fingers moved quickly over her keyboard. "They want us to monitor it." For 3 days, the signal grew stronger. Then, early on the 4th morning, Jack woke to Olivia shaking his shoulder. "They're here," she said. Jack followed her to the window. In the distance, he saw them. 5 massive ships, each larger than any aircraft carrier on Earth. They shined with a blue-silver light and moved in perfect formation. "My God," whispered Jack. Within hours, the whole world knew. The ships positioned themselves around Earth. Television, radio, and internet signals were interrupted with a message in every language. "People of Earth, we are the Xorlians. We come from a star system you have not yet discovered. We wish to speak with your leaders." The United Nations called an emergency meeting. Jack and Olivia watched from space as the Xorlian ambassador's shuttle descended to New York. Ambassador Zrekthal stood nearly 7 feet tall. His skin was pale blue, and his 4 eyes blinked in pairs. He walked with a grace that made humans look clumsy in comparison. "We have watched your planet for centuries," Zrekthal told the gathered world leaders. His mouth didn't move when he spoke. Instead, a small device on his chest translated his thoughts. "We have seen your wars, your pollution, your struggles to advance. We have decided it is time to help you join the galactic community." President Eleanor Davis stepped forward. "We welcome your friendship and the chance to learn from your civilization." Zrekthal's upper eyes blinked. "Learn? Yes, there is much you need to learn. Your species is very young." When the Secretary General presented Earth's scientific achievements, Zrekthal nodded politely. But Jack, watching the broadcast, noticed the slight twitch of the alien's mouth. "He's laughing at us," Jack said to Olivia. The next day, the Xorlians shared their proposal. They would give humans limited access to their technology in exchange for Earth's resources, water, minerals, and biological samples. They called it a protection agreement. When Navy Commander Alex Rousseau asked about the terms at a press conference, the aliens seemed amused. "Your planet has valuable resources," said a Xorlian official named Frax. "We offer protection from other species who might take them by force. Our terms are generous, considering your development level." "Development level?" asked Alex. "What exactly do you mean by that?" "Your species still burns fossil fuels," Vrax said with a sound like chimes that the translators identified as laughter. "You have only visited your own moon. Your most advanced computers are toys compared to what our children use." Later that week, the Xorlians invited military leaders to tour one of their smaller ships. General Harris asked about their weapons systems. "We have no need to show you those," said Zrekthal. His upper eyes blinked rapidly in what humans now recognized as amusement. "Your missiles and fighter jets would be as effective against our ships as throwing rocks." In private meetings, world leaders argued about the Xorlian proposal. Some wanted to accept their terms. Others didn't trust the aliens. "They see us as primitives," President Davis told her cabinet. "They're not here as friends. They're here as masters looking for servants." Jack and Olivia continued to monitor Xorlian communications from the space station. They noticed something strange. The aliens rarely encrypted their messages. They didn't seem worried about humans understanding their technology. "They think we're too stupid to be a threat," Olivia said one night. "They're not even trying to hide their plans." Jack looked out at the massive alien ships. Maybe that will be their biggest mistake. Major Kate Bennett sat in a windowless room deep under the Rocky Mountains, On the table in front of her lay a small piece of metal with strange markings. It had fallen from a Xorlian shuttle during their landing in New York. "What do you think?" she asked the man sitting across from her. Paul Garcia picked up the metal piece carefully. He had been the best tactical planner in the Marines before joining this secret project. "It's lighter than it should be," he said. "And look at how it reflects light. This isn't just advanced, Kate. It's something completely different from what we have." The door opened, and Zoe Washington walked in. At 26, she was the youngest person in the room, but also the smartest. She had 3 engineering degrees and could build almost anything. "I finished the tests," Zoe said, putting a tablet on the table. "You won't believe what I found." Kate looked at the screen. "Is this right? Their shield technology only works against energy weapons." Zoe nodded. "They're designed to stop lasers and plasma, but regular bullets and missiles, those might get through if they hit at the right angle." "They don't expect us to fight back," Paul said. "They think we'll just give up." While Kate's team worked underground, Frank Murphy drove his old truck to a small NASA building in Arizona. Frank had been a Marine for 20 years before retiring. Now the government needed him again. Dr. Susan Wright met him at the door. She had dark circles under her eyes from working long hours. "Thanks for coming," she said. "We need your help with something important." Inside, she showed him a Xorlian communication device. The aliens had given it to NASA as a gift. "We think it does more than they told us," Susan explained. "It's probably recording everything we say and do. But we found something else." She pressed a button, and Xorlian voices filled the room. The translation system converted their words to English. "The humans continue to debate our proposal," said one voice. "Some leaders want to fight, but they will learn that resistance is pointless." Another voice responded. "Supreme Leader Moxthar grows impatient. If they do not agree soon, we should take what we need. Their military is no threat to us." "What if the Draxian stories are true?" asked a third voice. "Some humans show signs of the same unpredictability that made the Draxians dangerous." "The Draxians were technologically equal to us," said the first voice. "Humans are nowhere close. They are workers at best, pets at worst." Frank looked at Susan. "They're not as united as they want us to think. And who are the Draxians?" "We don't know yet," Susan said, "but we're learning more every day. The Xorlians are careless with their security around us. They don't think we're smart enough to understand their technology." At the United Nations, diplomats continued to meet with the Xorlians. The aliens grew more demanding each day. They wanted mining rights to the entire Arctic region. They wanted thousands of human specimens for study. Their politeness thinned as humans asked for more time. Ambassador Zrekthal addressed the Security Council with growing frustration. "Your species wastes time with questions when you should be grateful for our interest. Many planets would welcome our protection." Unknown to the Xorlians, every meeting was now being carefully recorded and analyzed. Every piece of their technology that humans could access was studied day and night. President Davis had ordered all military forces to prepare quietly, without alerting the aliens. In orbit, Jack and Olivia continued monitoring Xorlian communications. They noticed increased activity among the alien ships. "Something's happening," Jack said one evening. "Their patrols are changing patterns." Olivia checked her screens. "They're getting tired of waiting. I think they're planning something." On Earth, Kate Bennett's team finished their report for the president. "We found weaknesses," she told the secure video call. "They're strong, but not invincible." President Davis nodded grimly. "Let's hope we have enough time to use what you've discovered." No one knew that time was running out faster than they expected. 6 months had passed since the Xorlians arrived. Their patience was gone. Ambassador Zrekthal stood before the United Nations with his 4 eyes narrowed in anger. "We have waited long enough," he said. "You will sign our protection treaty by tomorrow or face the consequences." The Secretary General stood up. "We need more time to consider your terms. Some of your requests would harm our people." Zrekthal made a sound like metal scraping metal. To show we are serious, watch your screens. On the large display behind him, a satellite image appeared. It showed a small uninhabited island in the Pacific Ocean. Suddenly, a beam of light shot down from the sky. When it disappeared, the island was gone. Only steam rose from the ocean where land had been moments before. Gasps filled the room. Zrekthal's upper eyes blinked slowly. That was one of our smallest weapons. You have 24 hours to decide. Later that day, President Eleanor Davis requested a private meeting with Commander Vrax, who now led the Xorlian military operations on Earth. They met in the Oval Office with only 2 human guards present. "Please understand our position," President Davis said. Her voice trembled slightly. "We want to cooperate, but we need better terms." Vrax towered over her. "There are no better terms. You should be thankful we offer any terms at all." "What exactly do you want humans for?" Davis asked. Vrax made the chiming sound that was Xorlian laughter. "Your people are strong enough for manual labor. You can lift things and build things. You're too intellectually limited for anything requiring real thought, but your bodies are useful." President Davis looked down as if ashamed. "I see. And there's truly nothing we can do to change your minds." "Nothing," Vrax said. "Your weapons cannot harm us. Your technology is primitive. Your resistance would be amusing, but ultimately pointless." What Vrax didn't notice was the small pin on President Davis's jacket. It contained a hidden camera and microphone, recording everything. That night, the recording spread across the internet, television, and radio stations worldwide. People everywhere heard the Xorlian commander's true plans for humanity. In homes, offices, and military bases, anger replaced fear. If humans were going to be slaves anyway, they had nothing to lose by fighting. The Xorlians, monitoring Earth's communications, saw the humans' reaction. They noted the sudden increase in military messages but couldn't decode them all. Earth's armed forces had finally started using new encryption methods based on what Zoe Washington had learned from Xorlian technology. On their ships, the aliens discussed the situation with amusement. "They're actually preparing to fight us," one officer told Commander Vrax. "Their primitive weapons are being moved to new locations." Vrax made the chiming sound again. "Let them try. It will make them accept defeat more quickly when they see how hopeless their situation is." Unknown to the Xorlians, most of the visible military movements were decoys. The real preparations happened underground, underwater, and in hidden facilities around the world. Kate Bennett's team had finished modifying several nuclear missiles. The changes were based on their study of Xorlian shields. "The regular detonation system won't work," Zoe explained to military leaders. "But if we change it this way, the explosion might get through their shields." Paul Garcia pointed to a map. "We need to hit these 3 ships first. They're the command vessels. If we take them out, the others will be confused." In the White House Situation Room, President Davis listened to final reports from her military advisors. "Are we ready?" she asked General Harris. He nodded grimly. "As ready as we'll ever be. Kate Bennett's team has given us a chance, at least. And the civilian evacuations. Nearly complete. All major cities have been emptied as much as possible." President Davis looked at the images of Xorlian ships on the screen. "They think we're going to surrender tomorrow. Instead, we'll show them what humans do when backed into a corner." She took a deep breath. "Launch Operation Defiance at dawn." Dawn broke over the Pacific Ocean. The Xorlians began their attack right on schedule. From their ships, they fired precise energy beams at military bases in Japan, South Korea, and along the American West Coast. Commander Vrax watched with satisfaction as the targets erupted in flames. "See how easily we destroy their defenses," he told his officers. "By nightfall, they will surrender." But something was wrong. The explosions seemed too small. When the smoke cleared, Vrax realized they had hit empty buildings and old equipment. The real military forces were gone. "Where are their soldiers?" Their aircraft, Vrax demanded. Scan again. Before his officers could answer, alarms blared throughout the ship. 200 feet below the ocean surface, Captain Eric Ramirez stood in the control room of the submarine U.S. Barracuda. His crew worked silently, each person focused on their task. They had been hiding under the ocean for 3 days, waiting for this moment. Target locked, said the weapons officer. Ready to fire. Eric took a deep breath. For Earth, he said quietly. Then louder. Fire missiles 1 through 6. 6 modified nuclear missiles shot from the submarine's tubes. Instead of the usual trajectory, they followed a path designed by Zoe Washington. They moved erratically, confusing the Xorlian sensors that expected simple, predictable paths. On his ship, Vrax saw the warning too late. Incoming projectiles. Activate all shields. The Xorlian shields glowed blue as they powered up. They were designed to stop energy weapons like lasers and plasma. But these were physical missiles, modified to slip through at just the right angle and speed. The first missile hit the shield of Vrax's ship and exploded. The shield held against the blast, just as the Xorlians expected. But the explosion was only the first stage. The real warhead, protected inside, continued through the weakened section of shield. Vrax felt his ship shake violently. Warning lights flashed everywhere. Impossible, he shouted. How did they? His words were cut off as 3 more missiles struck the ship. One hit the engine room. Another hit the weapons control center. The third hit near the bridge where Vrax stood. The U.S. Barracuda wasn't the only submarine attacking. Around the world, other submarines launched similar missiles at the Xorlian fleet. Some missed their targets. Some were stopped by the alien defenses, but enough got through. 3 Xorlian ships exploded in massive fireballs that lit up the morning sky. 2 more were badly damaged and began to fall from orbit. In the White House Situation Room, President Davis and her advisors watched the battle through satellite feeds. When the first Xorlian ship exploded, the room erupted in cheers. It worked, General Harris said in amazement. Bennett's team was right about their shields. President Davis didn't cheer. This is just the beginning, she said. They still have more ships than we have missiles. On the largest remaining Xorlian vessel, Ambassador Zrexthal took emergency command. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly as reports came in. 3 ships destroyed. 2 crippled. Commander Vrax is dead. The officer reporting looked stunned. How did they do this? Their weapons are primitive. Zrexthal's voice was cold. They adapted. They found a weakness and exploited it. For the first time, he spoke of humans without amusement or contempt. Pull our remaining ships back. Regroup at the lunar base. As the Xorlian ships retreated toward the moon, celebrations broke out across Earth. But military leaders knew better. This was not victory, just the first successful strike in what would be a difficult war. In their underwater base, Kate Bennett's team watched the battle data. The missiles worked better than expected, Zoe said, studying the readings. Paul nodded. But they'll adapt now. They won't underestimate us again. Kate looked at the map showing the Xorlian ships moving toward the moon. Then we need to hit them again before they can regroup. It's time for Phase 2. She picked up a secure phone. Get me Colonel Lisa Martinez. Tell her Operation Artemis is a go. Colonel Lisa Martinez stood in the launch bay of a secret facility hidden beneath the Arizona desert. Around her, 100 soldiers checked their equipment one last time. They wore new spacesuits, designed partly from stolen Xorlian technology. Everyone clear on the mission? Lisa asked. The soldiers nodded. They had trained for this moment day and night for 3 months. Each was chosen for their skills in zero-gravity combat, a type of fighting no human had actually done before. Remember, they think they're safe on the moon. Lisa continued. They don't believe we can reach them. That's our advantage. Behind her sat 5 shuttles. They looked nothing like normal human spacecraft. Their hulls were black and seemed to bend light around them. Zoe Washington had designed them based on what she learned from studying the Xorlian ships. The stealth coating should hide us from their sensors, Zoe had explained during the briefing. But it only works if we keep power usage low. That means no weapons until we're inside their base. Now, as the soldiers boarded the shuttles, Lisa felt a mix of pride and fear. No human had ever attempted a mission like this. They would be the first to set foot on an alien base, the first to fight Xorlians face to face. Lisa took her place in the lead shuttle. "Operation Artemis is go," she said into her radio. "Open the roof." Above them, the desert floor split open. The shuttles rose silently into the night sky. On the moon, the Xorlians had built a large base in the area humans called the Sea of Tranquility. From there, they monitored Earth and controlled their fleet. After the surprising attack from the human submarines, the remaining Xorlian ships gathered around the lunar base for protection. Ambassador Zrekthal, now military commander as well, called an emergency meeting of his officers. "How did they break through our shields?" he demanded. An engineer explained what they had discovered. Their missiles changed direction in ways our sensors didn't expect, and they used physical warheads, not energy weapons. "Primitive but clever," said another officer. "We should have studied their weapons more carefully." Zrekthal's 4 eyes blinked in pairs. "Increase sensor range. I want to know if they try anything else." "They can't reach us here," said the base commander. "Their spacecraft can barely reach orbit, let alone the moon." "Do not underestimate them again," Zrekthal warned. "That mistake has already cost us 3 ships and Commander Vrax." What they didn't know was that 5 human shuttles were already approaching the far side of the moon, hidden from both Earth and the Xorlian sensors. They flew dark, using minimal power, gliding more than flying. Inside the lead shuttle, Lisa and her team prepared for landing. 2 minutes, the pilot whispered. "They still don't see us." The shuttles touched down silently 3 miles from the Xorlian base. The soldiers exited quickly, activating their magnetic boots to stay on the lunar surface. "Move out," Lisa ordered. "Remember your training." They moved across the lunar landscape in formation, weapons ready. Hall Garcia had designed special guns that fired metal projectiles, not bullets. They needed no oxygen to work and could penetrate Xorlian armor at close range. When they reached the base, Lisa divided the teams. "Alpha team with me to the control center. Beta team to the communications hub. Gamma and Delta teams target their weapon systems." Inside the base, Xorlians went about their work confidently. Their security systems watched for energy signatures and heat blooms, signs of advanced weapons or ships. They weren't looking for humans in basic spacesuits carrying simple weapons. The first Xorlian to spot the humans was a technician working near an airlock. His surprise was so complete that he froze, allowing Lisa's team to enter the base before he could sound the alarm. When the alarm finally did sound, it was too late. Human soldiers were already inside, moving through the corridors with purpose. The Xorlians had never expected to fight hand-to-hand. Their society had moved beyond such primitive combat centuries ago. They relied on automated defense systems and drone warriors. Against humans trained for close combat, they found themselves at a disadvantage. Lisa led Alpha Team straight to the control center. When they burst through the doors, Zrekthal turned in shock. "Impossible," he said, staring at the human soldiers. Lisa aimed her weapon at him. Humans specialize in doing the impossible. The battle for the lunar base lasted 3 hours. When it ended, the humans stood victorious. Lisa Martinez and her soldiers had captured Ambassador Zrekthal and taken control of the Xorlian command center. But the war was far from over. While humans celebrated this amazing victory, the remaining Xorlian ships regrouped. They still outnumbered Earth's forces by hundreds of ships to just a few. Dr. Ryan Martinez walked quickly through the halls of the Pentagon. He carried a tablet with new information from the captured lunar base. As a behavioral psychologist, Ryan had spent months studying the Xorlians. Now he finally had real data to work with. He entered a meeting room where Intelligence Officer Natalie Summers waited. "What did you find?" she asked. Ryan placed his tablet on the table. The Xorlians are scared, he said. For the first time in centuries, they face an enemy they don't understand. Their messages show confusion and fear. Can we use that? Natalie asked. Ryan nodded. I think so. Fear makes them less effective. It breaks their unity. Together, they developed a new strategy. Using the communication systems at the lunar base, they began broadcasting to all Xorlian ships. They showed footage of the human victory. They shared recordings of Xorlian commanders expressing their fear of human unpredictability. Let them see that we are not what they thought, Ryan explained to President Davis. Let them see that their leaders were wrong about us. While Ryan and Natalie led this psychological battle, Kate Bennett prepared for a different mission. She had found something important in the Xorlian databases, references to a species called the Draxians. According to their records, the Draxians were their equals technologically, Kate told her team. But the Xorlians claimed they defeated them centuries ago. Paul Garcia studied the star maps they had taken from the lunar base. If these coordinates are right, the Draxian home system is only 30 light-years from here. But we can't reach them, Zoe said. We don't have ships that can travel that far. Kate smiled. We do now. She pointed to the captured Xorlian shuttles, and I've been cleared to lead a mission to find them. 2 weeks later, Kate and a small team launched from the lunar base in a modified Xorlian scout ship. They used the alien navigation system to jump through space in a way humans had only dreamed about before. When they arrived at the coordinates, they found not a defeated civilization, but a thriving one. The Draxians had not been destroyed. They had simply retreated to rebuild their strength away from Xorlian territory. The Draxians looked different from both humans and Xorlians. They had smooth golden skin and 3 eyes set in a triangle pattern. But they welcomed the human delegation with interest. We have watched your battle with the Xorlians, said Elder Kryn, the Draxian leader. You fight well for a young species. Kate explained Earth's situation. We've won 2 battles, but we can't win the war alone. They have too many ships, too many weapons. Why should we help you? Asked another Draxian. We chose peace over conflict long ago. Because the Xorlians will never stop, Kate answered. If they conquer Earth, they'll be stronger. Eventually, they'll come for you again. The Draxians discussed among themselves. Finally, Elder Kryn approached Kate. We will not fight your war, he said. Kate's heart sank. Then the Elder continued, but we will share our knowledge. The Xorlians have weaknesses they don't want anyone to know about. He handed Kate a small crystal. This contains information about their fleet, their weapons, and their tactics. Use it wisely. Kate accepted the crystal with shaking hands. Thank you. Your species is young but brave, Elder Kryn said. You did what we did not. You stood and fought when the odds seemed impossible. Perhaps humans have something to teach Draxians after all. As Kate's team prepared to return to Earth, they received an urgent message from Natalie Summers. Xorlian fleet mobilizing. All remaining ships moving toward Earth. The final battle is coming. Hurry back with whatever you found. Kate Bennett's team returned to Earth just in time. The Xorlian fleet had gathered for what they planned would be their final attack on humanity. 30 ships remained, still far more than Earth could match. But humans now had something they didn't have before. Knowledge. The crystal from the Draxians contained valuable information about Xorlian technology and tactics. In an underground base, engineers worked day and night to build a new weapon. They combined human ingenuity with Draxian knowledge and Xorlian parts taken from the lunar base. It's ready, Zoe Washington said, looking tired but proud. We call it the Defiance. The Defiance didn't look impressive. It was smaller than most military jets, but inside, it carried technology centuries ahead of anything humans had built before. Captain Samantha Reed was chosen to pilot it. She had been the top fighter pilot in the Air Force before the aliens came. The ship can move in ways no human craft could before, Paul Garcia explained during the briefing. It can also hide from Xorlian sensors using their own technology against them. President Davis addressed the assembled military leaders. Today we fight not just for Earth, but to show the galaxy that humans will never accept slavery or extinction. We fight for our right to exist as equals. The Xorlian fleet entered Earth orbit at dawn. Their remaining ships positioned themselves around the planet, weapons ready. Ambassador Zrekthal, who had been captured and then released in a prisoner exchange, led the attack from the new command ship. "Begin the bombardment," he ordered. "Target their largest cities first." But before the Xorlians could fire, humanity launched its own attack. From hidden bases around the world, missiles rose toward the alien ships. From the ocean, submarines fired their special weapons. From the lunar base, now controlled by humans, defense systems targeted the Xorlian rear positions. The Xorlians had adapted since the first battle. Their shields were stronger against physical weapons now. Many of the human missiles exploded harmlessly against them. "Their attacks are failing," an officer told Zrekthal. "Our new shields are working." Zrekthal's 4 eyes blinked in satisfaction. Now they will learn the price of defiance. What he didn't see was the small craft that rose from Earth. The Defiance, piloted by Samantha Reed, flew directly toward the Xorlian command ship. "They've spotted me," Samantha reported as warning alarms sounded in her cockpit. "Engaging stealth systems." The Defiance seemed to vanish from the Xorlian sensors. Using technology from the Draxians, it created a blind spot in the aliens' detection grid. Samantha navigated through the Xorlian fleet unseen. When she reached the command ship, she activated the special weapon. It didn't damage the ship. Instead, it created a small opening in the shield, just large enough for her to fly through. "I'm inside their shields," she reported, moving toward the engine section. Inside the Xorlian ship, alarms finally sounded. "A human craft has breached our shields." An officer shouted, "How is this possible?" Zrekthal rushed to the bridge window. He saw the small human ship attaching itself to his vessel's hull. "Shoot it down," he ordered. "We can't fire without damaging our own ship," came the reply. Samantha placed the devices Zoe had designed at key points on the Xorlian ship. These weren't bombs. They were more sophisticated, control override modules that gave humans access to the ship's systems. Within minutes, the massive Xorlian command ship stopped firing. Its weapons powered down. Its communication system broadcast a new message from Samantha Reed to Zrekthal. "This ship is now under human control. You have 2 choices: retreat from Earth forever, or watch as we take control of your entire fleet, 1 ship at a time." To demonstrate, Samantha used the command ship's weapons to disable 2 nearby Xorlian vessels without destroying them. Zrekthal knew he was defeated. "Stop firing," he ordered his fleet. "Open communication with their leader." President Davis appeared on the screen. "Are you ready to discuss real peace terms, Ambassador? Terms between equals?" For the first time, Zrekthal looked at a human with respect. "Yes," he said. "It seems we have much to learn from Earth after all." As the Xorlian fleet withdrew, Jack Miller and Olivia Clark watched from the International Space Station. Once again, Earth looked peaceful from space. "They won't be the last aliens to visit us," Jack said. Olivia nodded. "But they'll tell others about us, about what happened when they laughed at humanity." "And what was that?" Jack asked. Olivia smiled. "They learned that humans are dangerous when cornered, creative when challenged, and unstoppable when united."